It's time to get the mental edge. I'm Gene Zanetti from Winning Mindset, and I'm very excited to bring to you a sports psychology program and curriculum that was made by softball players for softball players. A little background on myself. I was a nationally ranked all Ivy League wrestler at the University of Pennsylvania. I went on to get 2 master's degrees, one in exercise science and sports psychology, the other in clinical psychology. I became a school psychologist and created a curriculum called Winning Mindset. So we have sports psychology programs specific to each and every sport. Again, starting with the sport of wrestling, we were able to work with the U.S. Olympic teams, both the men and the women. We work with professional athletes, and we work with the Huntington Learning Center for our academic mindset program, the San Francisco Conservatory of Music with our music mindset program, our sales mindset program. We work with Fortune 500 companies, including AXA Advisors and Northwestern Mutual on a regular basis. I always say this, that confidence is confidence. Mental toughness is mental toughness. It doesn't make a difference what field or what sport that you're in. If you believe in yourself, if you know how to deal with pressure, if you know what to focus on, you will be successful. Our goal is the same as yours. We want to use softball as a vehicle to build mental tools and virtues for the rest of our lives, so we could apply these great lessons to every area of our life. Recently, we released our first ebook known as Building the Predator Mindset. That's the topic we'll be speaking about today, developing the predator mindset. And when we put that ebook out, we got an email back from Lance Berkman, multiple-time All-Star and borderline Hall of Fame baseball player, World Series champion for the St. Louis Cardinals in 2011. He reached out to us. He gave us a glowing testimonial of our book. He brought us in with his baseball team down in Houston, Texas. He and Andy Pettit were coaching a high school baseball team for their sons, and we started working with them on their mindset. Everyone says the same thing. Softball is 90% mental. But then ask yourself this question: what percentage of your training, of your preparation, is physical versus mental? And if you're like most athletes, if you're like most teams or most coaches, 90 to 95% of your preparation is physical. It's the technical, it's the skills, the drills, the X's and the O's. And don't get me wrong, that's very important. But if you want to be the very best, and I have to make certain assumptions when I'm presenting to a big group, some of you on this call want to have championship teams. You want to have championship children. If that's the case, you need to work very hard and very smart. It has to be both. If you're saying softball is 90 to 95% mental, then guess what? Your training needs to be 90 to 95% mental. And that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to help you bridge that gap between the physical and the mental training. Very important, the physical training. Very important, the technique, the skills, the drills. You need to do that. No matter how confident you are, you can't just pick up the violin and start playing. You need to know the technique, the practice. You need to know the fundamentals of playing the violin. It's the same thing with softball. So I'm here to build on some of the skills that you're already giving your athletes. And remember, sometimes for these athletes, it's nice to hear an outside voice. It's good to hear it from someone else who's saying the same things. So when people don't work on their mindset, these are the most common mindset red flags that we call them. You could also call them mental mistakes, but I know in softball, mental mistakes mean something different. What we're speaking about is psychological mental mistakes, mindset red flags, getting the yips, giving good teams too much respect, the pitcher giving a hitter too much respect, or vice versa. Being better in batting practice or pregame than in the actual game. Having a difficult time bouncing back after a mistake, bringing an error with you up to the next at-bat, or having a bad at-bat, bringing that with you out into the field. Sometimes we're focused on the wrong things. We're afraid to make mistakes in front of our team. We don't want to let our team down. We don't want to let our coaches down. We don't want to let our parents down. I'm sure I don't have to tell you, but a lot of times these athletes are playing with so much pressure because of their parents, from their parental pressure as well as their perceived parental pressure. They need to know strategies, how to handle this. Because remember, these things are going to arise again, not just in a championship game, but also taking the SATs, job interview in the future, saying no to drugs and peer pressure, dealing with the post-COVID world. They need to know what they're telling themselves. What's going on in the 6 inches between their ears is so important. Sometimes these athletes are slow starters. They don't start playing well until the game goes on. So we want to make sure that we're taking the bull by the horns. If we know we're struggling mentally, we need to work on our mindset. Remember this: you don't get better at history by studying science. You don't get better at math by studying English. Of course, it's all important. But if you're struggling with math, you need a math tutor. If you're struggling with science, you need to get extra help in science. It's the same thing with mindset. If your athletes are doing well in practice or in the off season, and then in season or in a game, they're not able to do the same thing they do in practice, that's all mental. And that's exactly what we do. So we're happy to help you with that. Remember, if you keep doing what you're doing, you'll keep getting what you're getting. But let's not make the mistake of thinking that softball mindset is all about fixing mistakes. Sure, we have many coaches and many teams that come to us and they ask us for help on those mental mistakes, those red flags, getting the yips, difficulty bouncing back from a mistake, giving good opponents too much respect, things like that. We hear that all the time. But that's not the only reason why people do softball mindset. They also do our program because some of these teams are already at the best. They're already state champions, and they want to maintain that edge. They use this as their mental edge on their competition. If we're beating a team by a certain amount, we want to beat them by more. We want to keep that edge. Once you build a dynasty, it's even harder to keep it there because now you have a bullseye on your back. So, and we know a lot of times it's the best athletes and the best teams that need the most mental training because more pressure is on them than the average teams. More press, more college scouts, more coverage from the newspapers, more expectations from the parents, the coaches, the teammates, the administration. And finally, a lot of people bring in softball mindset for the purpose of building more of a culture, team cohesion, bringing the team together, shared principles and shared values. I was working with one of the top softball teams in our county in New Jersey, and we were quickly able to see in the first mindset session that there was a serious disconnect between the girls and their coaches, a big disconnect. And all it took was one mindset session with the team. And we were able to help with those dynamics, start addressing the real problem. Everything was swept under the rug. But once we came in and started working directly on the mindset, we were able to get to work on fixing what the actual problem was. And sometimes it's just the dynamic, a miscommunication between coaches and athletes. Sometimes it's a miscommunication between athletes on the team. No matter how you look at it, you want to make sure you're addressing the mindset directly. You're not just leaving it to chance. So what is mindset training? Let's start with what it's not. This is not counseling. This is not therapy. It's not motivational speaking. Now, don't get me wrong. I love all of those things. I follow a lot of motivational speakers on Instagram and YouTube, and so should you. It's great. But motivational speaking tends to be more entertainment. It's like the sugar. And what we're really after is behavioral change, long-term behavioral change. As a school psychologist, I needed to learn how people retain information and how people process information. If you're just listening to a motivational speaker or any lecture, you're only likely to retain 5% of the information that you hear. So that's not enough. That's not good enough. We want to make sure that our retention is even higher than that, much higher than that. Also, this is not counseling or therapy. I love counseling. I love therapy. Of course, I'm a school psychologist certified. So mental and emotional health is of utmost importance to me. But this is a little bit different than that. When we speak about softball mindset and mindset training, this is much more like strength training for the mind. Think more about weightlifting or think more about doing cardio, whether it be elliptical, treadmill, the rower. Think about it like that. So when you think about strength training, serious athletes are lifting weights and doing exercises 12 months out of the year, just like serious softball players are working on their technique, their skills, and their drills 12 months out of the year. Well, if you're working on your technique and your strength 12 months out of the year, and you're saying the sport is 90% mental, how many months do you think you should be working on your mindset? 12 months, right? Also, you can't just think about lifting weights. Pretty common sense, right? You can't just think about lifting weights. You can't just think about batting practice. You have to actually get in there. You have to get to the cages. You need to do your batting practice. You need to get in the weight room and lift the weights. You need to get on the treadmill or the elliptical or the bike. You can't just sit back. Well, it's the same thing with your mindset training. We have a systematic, softball-specific mindset program where these girls are going to be putting the pen to paper and they're doing our mindset exercises. If I say it once, I say it 94 times. You have to do the things we're telling you to do to get results. It's not magic. You have to put the pen to paper. And we break it down into 9 different mental muscles. And from there, we have multiple exercises that improve each one of those mental muscles. And just like there's different physical muscles in the body, there's different mental muscles in the mind. So you might have some girls that are very motivated with that mental muscle, but they're not good at relaxing under pressure. And that's a different mental muscle. So they need to move through the relaxing under pressure mindset exercises. And if they're already strong with motivation, let's give them still more motivation exercises so they can make that even better. On the other hand, you might have another girl on the team who's supremely confident, very mentally strong with confidence, but she might be making mistakes off the field, whether it's partying, in a bad relationship, staying up too late, making poor life choices. So she might need to work more on goal setting, action planning. That's a different mental muscle. So you don't want to look at athletes and say, this girl has it and that girl doesn't have it. That's a very unsophisticated, unscientific way of looking at the mindset. It's better to break it down into different mental muscles, just like a strength coach would break your body down into different muscle groups and see, you're strong here, you need to improve there. It's the same thing with mindset. That's what we do. When we're working with our individuals, the first thing we do is we give them a mindset checklist. Some of you coaches might have kids that are athletes, whether it's softball or any other sport. Remember our music program, our academic mindset program, maybe your sales team. First thing, mindset checklist. Where are you strong and where are you weak? Many athletes will go through their entire career without a good assessment of their mindset. And remember, if you're not assessing, you're guessing. So we put the pen to paper and we do the mindset exercises. And from there, it starts to become easier. It's better to do a little a lot than to do a lot a little. That's an important concept in any area of life. It's better to do a little a lot than to do a lot a little. Let's give a concrete example of that. You could study for 6 hours the night before a test. And indeed, some people do, and they could still pull off the A the next day. But what are we after? What's the goal? Long-term behavioral change, long-term retention. What is that student going to retain 6 months, a year, 2 years down the road? Probably not very much. If all they studied was 6 hours the night before the exam, it's in your head, you could regurgitate it on the test, and then it's gone. What if, on the other hand, that same student studied 20 minutes a night instead of just 6 hours the night before, but every night studied 20 minutes? Not only are they still likely to get an A on the test, but 2 years down the line, they still retain the information. And that's what we're after. Long-term behavioral change, long-term retention. Let's not get caught up in the excitement, the sugar, the entertainment. Let's actually fix the problem and let's actually make some big improvements. So look at mindset training as strength training for the mind, done year-round, different mental muscles, and we find what works, we make it better. We find what doesn't work and really get to work on improving that area. So we're approaching this much more scientific, much more logical. much more rational. That's what we need to do. Remember the bell curve, the normal distribution. Most people fall in the middle. So if you follow the crowd, if you just do what every other team is doing, if you just do if your kid keeps doing what every other athlete is doing, they could expect to end up somewhere in the middle. But if you want to be the very best, I was very blessed in college to have in high school to have a coach that would tell me, you need to study the best in the world. That's how you get to that upper tail of the bell curve. You can't look around at your friends and other teams. You have to look at the very best, the happiest people in the world, the richest people in the world, the holiest people in the world, the best athletes, the best coaches. And what you see across the board is that success leaves clues. Not all of those people are very physically strong, but every one of those people are extremely mentally strong. They have weaknesses too. They have improvement areas, but they've learned how to iron those areas out. They address them head on. So let's go into one of our mindset lessons. Almost every coach, every parent, every employer, every great leader says the same thing. Focus on what you can control. Forget about what you can't control. You've all said that before, and you've all heard that before. But how do we get that message to stick with these kids? Because we still know that when adversity creeps in, all of us are very guilty of criticizing, blaming, complaining, pointing the finger, and focusing on things outside of our control. We need a vivid image. We need a really strong example so it sticks forever. And we find that in the animal kingdom, a great analogy that works with our youth athletes, right through our professional athletes, our Olympians, our Fortune 500 sales companies. If you look in the animal kingdom, there's two different types of animals. There's predator and there's prey. How can you tell the difference between a predator and a prey just by looking at them? What do you think? A lot of people say it's their size. A lot of people say it's their teeth, but it's actually their eyes. If you look at predator animals like lions, tigers, bears, oh my, their eyes are located on the front of their head. When you look at prey animals, squirrels, chipmunks, rabbits, deer, their eyes are located on the side of their head. Now, why might a predator need to have their eyes in the front of their head? Because they're focused on their goal. They're looking to eat lunch, so they need to see what's going on directly in front of them. Now, think about a prey animal. Why might they need to have their eyes on the side of their head? Well, the predator wants lunch. The prey does not want to be lunch. So the predator needs to look around to see what's going on around him. And that becomes our analogy for softball, for school, for business, for our personal relationships, and for our entire lives. Eyes on the front like to hunt. Eyes on the side like to hide. That's a great motto to live by, to compete by, and to train by. It makes it very clear cut. Eyes on the front like to hunt. Eyes on the side like to hide. Now, one disclaimer. When we speak about the predator mindset, you use the word predator, a lot of thoughts pop up. This is a symbol. This is never to be taken literally. This is an analogy that just helps us to think a little bit clearer. What does this have to do with your team? What does this have to do with you as a coach? You focus on the things you could control. That's the predator mindset. That's eyes on the front. You wake up in the morning, you wash your face, you brush your teeth, you locate your eyes. And your eyes are located on the front of your head, which means you and I are born predators. It means we're geared, we're designed, we were created to seek good things, to seek happiness. We were created to seek out our goals. On the other hand, prey animals, eyes on the side of their head, they're just designed to just basically stay alive, just to survive and replicate, basically. But us, we were designed differently. We were designed for happiness and for goodness. So you locate your eyes, you see you're a born predator. That means focusing on the things you could control. And they are your preparation, your lifestyle, your effort, your attitude, and your aggressiveness. Now let's break those down. You could break down the first, your complete life, your lifestyle and your preparation. That's what you could control at all times. sports, school, business life, your preparation and your lifestyle. It's not your team against the other team. It's your team's lifestyle against the other team's lifestyle. If your team is operating at a higher lifestyle, that means nutrition, sleep, rest and recovery, technique, skills and drills, mindset, tendon strength, joint flexibility, plyometrics, and so on and so forth, your entire life. Good company, surrounding themselves with good crowds, staying away from distractions, not getting caught up in the negatives. If your team's doing that, you might not be the most talented team, but you can and will eventually catch the teams that have more talent than you. It's not your team versus the other team. It's your team's lifestyle against the other team's lifestyle. Sooner or later, the better lifestyle ends up winning. So your preparation and your lifestyle is directly under your control. Now you're at the day of the game. Championship, playoffs, any game or any performance, best man speech, maid of honor speech, job interview, whatever, big test. What do you control? Your preparation and your lifestyle is in the bank. Now it comes down to three things: your effort, your attitude, and your aggressiveness. That's directly in your control the day of a performance, the day of a game, the day of a competition. It's effort, attitude, and aggressiveness. That's what you can control. Your effort. You make the choice. Are you going to go all out or are you going to hold back? Positive attitude. You control that. Whether or not you're going to let a bad call from an umpire get you down, you make a mistake. Are you going to let that keep you down or are you going to bounce right back? That's a choice. A positive attitude is not smiling, laughing, singing Kumbaya, holding hands in a circle. Sure, that's great for camaraderie, but that's not true positive thinking. True positive thinking is a decision. It's a day-by-day, moment-by-moment decision to focus on what you're thankful for and focusing on what's the opportunity. We've all seen this living now in a post-COVID world. There's a lot of things we could complain about. There's a lot of uncertainty. But are you going to focus on the challenges or are you going to focus on the opportunity? The most successful people we listed before, they focus on the opportunity. And gratitude is one of the most important lessons ever. We have 4 mindset principles that we have our team say before and after every single practice. I am thankful for the opportunity to play. I am aggressive and relentless. I have no fear of making mistakes, and I never, ever give up. And number 1 is gratitude. I am thankful for the opportunity to play softball. If you're in business now, I am thankful for the opportunity to work. Whatever you're doing, you're thankful for that opportunity. Not only is that the way to battle anxiety and depression, but that's a way to bring out your best when it means the most. So what I'd like you to do is weaponize gratitude. Make gratitude your team's greatest weapon, because it's very difficult to be anxious, sad, or mad and thankful at the same time. So weaponize gratitude. That's something that you want to be doing on a regular basis. Those mindset red flags is great. Not red flags. Those mindset principles are great to say with your team before and after every practice. You have everyone stand up as a group and you go through those mindset principles. I'm thankful for the opportunity to play. I'm aggressive and relentless. I have no fear of making mistakes and I never, ever give up. Have the team say it before and after every practice. That's mental reps. You get your strength reps in the weight room. You get your technique reps, your skills and your drills reps at practice and in the batting cages. And you get your mental reps when you go through your affirmations and things like the mindset principles. So have your team do that before and every practice. Stand up as a group and say it out loud. That's just one of the many great lessons that we have with the team. But positive attitude is your choice. It's a moment-by-moment choice to focus on what you're grateful for and the opportunity that's in front of you. It's not lazy thinking. And finally, aggressiveness. Don't focus on winning or losing, but you need to play to win. You don't play not to lose. You go after it. You're aggressive. Our sales teams, we tell them you need to be tactfully tenacious. Well, that's true in life. In any area of life, fortune favors the bold. The people who are successful, they're hungry. They're hustlers. They're go-getters. And that's what we want. We want the team to be hungry and playing to win, not playing not to lose. Now, of course, being intelligently aggressive. It doesn't mean that you're making silly mistakes, but making sure that you're going after it and you're playing hard the whole time. There's hustle the whole time. So effort, attitude, aggressiveness. That's what it comes down to on game day. What's prey mindset? Prey mindset is everything else. Comparing yourself to other people. That's a big one, especially with girls, with women, comparing themselves to other people. But I do it as a guy too. Thinking about letting other people down. Thinking too much about looking good in front of other people, whether it be not wanting to let down my parents, my coaches, my teammates, the crowd, people in the stands, my siblings, my friends. So anytime you're seeking praise, recognition, pity, or approval from other people, that's prey mindset, because that's not directly in your control. Focusing too much on records, rankings, seedings, predictions. Prey mindset, not directly in your control. Focusing too much on what inning it is, who you're competing against, anything like that. Statistics. Sometimes we focus too much on our stats. That's all prey mindset. And again, you're more likely to choke in the biggest game of your life and the biggest moment of your life if you have a prey mindset. You're also more likely to be generally sad, anxious, depressed. What good is that? To me, winning the game of life, is you are very successful and you're very happy. And most importantly, you're a high quality moral person. You have virtue. You built virtue. It's not just about being successful when you're playing softball. If that's all you get out of this, I think you made the biggest mistake. You lost the biggest lesson of softball. You want to use this as a vehicle for your whole life. A lot of athletes, and we see some of the most famous athletes, some of the most famous singers, bands, and everything else, actors, actresses, they might be massively successful, really good looking people, millions of followers on Instagram, and their lives are in shambles. Hooked on drugs, suicidal, depression. Who wants that? And of course, not all of them are like that. But the point is this: we want to focus on things that are going to help us succeed and focus on things that are going to help us live a high quality life. So that predator mindset is for everyone. So here's how we make that into a concrete lesson. Just like the strength coach teaches a workout, tells the team how to do the workout, coaches them through the workout, then the team has to actually perform the exercise. Here's the mindset exercise. You have your team write down 3 areas in softball, 3 times in softball, where these girls have a prey mindset. What is that prey mindset they have? Maybe it's letting down their parents. Maybe it's thinking too much about a mistake. Maybe it's thinking about where they're going to go to college, or they're thinking too much about the scouts that are watching them. Whatever it is, let's write it down and change that prey mindset into a predator mindset. Instead, focusing on our preparation, our lifestyle, our effort, our attitude, and our aggressiveness. Then do the same thing with school and life, because remember, we don't just want them to succeed on the field. So writing down school and life, 3 areas where they tend to have a prey mindset. This is going to really help them in their personal relationships, in their school and career. Write it down. What are 3 prey mindsets you have in school and life, and change them to predator mindsets. Everything that I said basically has almost no value if they don't do the exercise. That's why I say it's so important as a mindset coach. They need to do the mindset exercise. Put the pen to paper and actually fill out the worksheet. Our entire curriculum, it's a series of worksheets. We work with these teams every week to week basis on a different mindset exercise. Like I said, just listening to me is 5% retention. Doing the mindset exercise, having the group discussion, and teaching that lesson out to other people, the retention rate for these girls goes up to 50%, 70%, or even as high as 90%. That's what we want. That's getting the best bang for the buck. Long-term retention, long-term behavioral change. So again, to sum it all up, we said that softball is 90% mental, yet we're training 90% physical. You don't have to be a mathematician to see there's a little problem there. There's a discrepancy. We need to close the gap on that, and we need to make sure we're working on our mindset on a regular basis. Mindset training is like strength training for the mind. You do it 12 months out of the year. There's different mental muscles, and you have to actually put the pen to paper. You have to do the work, just like you do with strength training. And we spoke about the predator versus prey mindset. Eyes on the front like to hunt. Eyes on the side like to hide. It does not mean you're competing angry or mad, nothing like that. Predator mindset simply means find where you need to be, find where you compete at your best, and get yourself there every single time. Your preparation, your lifestyle, your effort, your attitude, and your aggressiveness. Doesn't mean you're mad. Don't get fooled by the term predator, making you think that, oh, well, now you're mean when you're playing. No, some people compete at their very best when they're relaxed and happy. Everything else, prey mindset, focusing too much on the score, the inning, extraneous variables. What are other people's opinions of me? Comparing myself to other people, records, rankings, seedings, predictions, all of that. None of it matters. We control that indirectly by focusing on the things within our control. And it's not enough to hear about the predator versus prey mindset. Now you need to put the pen to paper and go through the predator prey mindset. Write down your prey thoughts, change them to predator thoughts. Doing those, we also spoke about the mindset principles that we say before and after every practice. Those are just two simple examples of lessons that we give these athletes that they could be focusing on a regular basis that's going to help them. We have over 80 mindset exercises. So I encourage you to really capitalize, really take advantage of all the information that we have, because there's a lot of it and there's no reason you can't benefit. So many people wait till the end of their career. And really, when you think about it, at the end of the day, you want to make sure you did everything you possibly could to reach your goals. Like I said, 3 big reasons why people do mindset training. They're struggling with those mindset red flags, getting the yips, bringing a bad at-bat into the field, or vice versa, being a slow starter, being great in practice or being great pre-game or in the cages and not able to bring it to a real game, giving other good teams too much respect. If we keep doing what we're doing, we'll keep getting what we're getting. Remember, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. So struggling with the mindset obstacles, we help with that. Building the gap, working with some of the best teams. As we said, some of the people who are the best, the teams who are the best, sometimes need the most mental training. And also building a culture, making sure that we have that team cohesion and we're functioning as a whole. We is greater than me every time. You want to make sure you do everything you possibly can to get these girls the success that they want. Not just because we want them successful on the softball field, but we want to see them succeed and we want to see them live happy lives and good moral lives. So important. So at the end of the day, they did everything they possibly could to reach their goals. They left no stone unturned, and you were instrumental in that process. We'd love to help you with that. And everyone that's on the call, every coach, we're offering a free introductory mindset session with your team, 20 to 30 minutes. Just get in touch with me. I'm happy to help. Our website is zwinningmindset.com, zwinningmindset.com. Make sure you go to our website. Just click softball. You could send us an email. It's very simple. Also, make sure you get our daily text message. Every day, our daily text message, all you have to do is text mindset1 to the number 84576. So text mindset1 to 84576. You'll get our daily mindset text message. We sometimes have a video of the day. We have a Mindset Monday, a Toughness Tuesday challenge, Wednesday wisdom, a Thursday nutrition tip, a Friday fitness tip. We have a Saturday sale, and Sunday we have a story. So do everything you can to help this team be successful. We have a lot of great information, our podcast, our YouTube, everything. Make sure you capitalize on that. We're happy to work with your team. And remember, whether it's sports, softball, school, career, business, personal relationships, or life, mindset makes the difference. Thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to working with your team.